Welcome everybody. We're going to get things started. We've got a lot of candidates to get through this evening. So my name is Suzanne Andrews. I'm the CEO at the Queen West Chamber of Commerce. And myself, along with the staff and the board of directors, are very pleased to be able to offer this opportunity to our community tonight to get engaged, to get educated, and to know who you're voting for this year. Before we get things started, I would like to give a land acknowledgement. Today we are meeting on the traditional territory of the many nations, including the Wendat, Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. Queen West Chamber of Commerce acknowledges a shared obligation to respect, honor, and sustain these lands and the natural resources contained within. We honor their cultures and celebrate their commitment to this land. Chamber for 16 years, and I've done a lot of debates for all levels of government in that time. And I've never seen such a wide, varied field of choices for the electorate in Quinte West. So I wanted to take a moment to thank all of the councillor candidates and the mayoral candidates for putting your name forward and offering up your vision of what you think Quinte West should be. So thank you to all of you for doing that. We want to offer a fair and respectful debate for our mayoral candidates. And we want to make sure that all of our council candidates are met with respect and that people are willing to listen to what they have to say. One of our council candidates was unable to be here tonight, so we are going to show a video of their presentation instead. We are also streaming this event tonight live on Facebook. We know we've just come through 2.5 years of the pandemic. Not everybody's comfortable coming into a crowded room. Not everybody is comfortable driving at night. And so by offering this Facebook Live, people can join us and listen to what the candidates have to say from their homes. And they can also come back to our Facebook page at a later date and rewatch and re-listen to what the candidates had to say tonight. So we're going to get started with our council candidates, and with 24 of them, all with just a mere 2 minutes to tell you about what they stand for. It's going to take almost an hour to get through that. So we're going to go from now till about 7:30 with the councillor candidates, and then we're going to ask our 3 mayoral candidates to come up on the stage, and we're going to have an opportunity to ask questions. Questions were all submitted through the box. I've got members of the Chamber Government Affairs Committee and board members sorting through those questions and finding the ones that really need to be asked tonight. If your question doesn't get asked, I'm going to apologize in advance, but we've only got so much time tonight. So we are going to present the councillor candidates by ward, alphabetically, and by candidate alphabetically. That way, no one can say that I pick and choose who got to go first. So we are now going to start with the Frankfurt councillor. So coming up first, we have Greg Cobble. Please come on up and give us your 2-minute presentation. And I should mention there are 3 candidates, and the people from Frankfurt get to vote for one of them.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. It's nice to see everyone. It's a great turnout after COVID and everything to see so many people here. I'd like to thank the Quinte West Chamber. Oh, sorry. I'd like to thank the Quinte West Chamber of Commerce for putting this venue on for all the candidates tonight. Let's get started here. I ran in 2018. This is my second time running. That was unsuccessful the first time. Hopefully my luck is better this time. I think Quinte West and Brantford deserve someone who is going to go on to council and they're not going to nod their heads and follow everyone. I like to think that we need someone to question everything, whether it's something that seems like a good idea or not. I think everything needs to be questioned to get the best possible outcome for the citizens and the taxpayers to get their dollars used in the best way possible. As a council member, I will ensure that your tax dollars are respectfully spent on things that benefit the entire community of Twenty West. In Frankfurt specifically, I would like to make an effort to get a better police presence in the town. There has been a lot of errors in the town. We've been having a lot of issues with speeding and traffic enforcement. I know there's been quite a few citizens that I've been in contact with that have talked to the SOP, and they've been able to get them out there to deal with the traffic enforcement. That's amazing. Along with the ambulance and stuff, I'd like to get more youth initiatives in Frankfurt, more playing fields for the youth. So unfortunately, I want to get them out, but a lot of the vandalism and stuff is done because teams are work. They need something to do. And with that, we can bring more people together as a community and give them some responsibility and help them contribute to the members of the community. I would also like to fight for housing, and not just the word everyone's going to throw at housing. There's some pillars. We've got to focus on housing, and we've got to focus on mental health, addictions, and everything is the part of housing. My time is up, so thank you very much, everyone. We have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Greg.
Speakers local to the mic, please.
Sure. So thank you, Greg. And I should mention to you that after the formal part of the evening, all of the candidates will go back to their tables. So if you have questions about any of the things or the items that they touch on in their presentation, you'll be able to follow up with them afterwards. I'd like to now please call up Matt Joyce, running in Frankfurt.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out. For those of you who haven't had the opportunity to meet and greet yet, my name is Matt Joyce, and I'm running to represent the Frankfurt Ward. I've lived in Frankfurt for nearly the last 20 years. I'm a lifelong resident of 220 West. I grew up on the base next door to us before moving to Glen Miller and then on to Frankfurt. I'm a family man. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Katrina, 14 years, and we have a daughter, Leanna, who just turned 12. I've worked in the automotive industry for the last 2 decades, working in customer service, finance, and management. I'm a small business owner, partnered with my wife. We run an inflatable company servicing the Queen area and region. I'm also a volunteer firefighter and first responder with Twenty West Fire Department, Station 7 in Frankfurt. I am devoted to protecting my community 24/7, 365 days a year. I believe the community of Frankfurt and all residents need a strong voice that will be present and a council assembly that will be accountable to the people. A few of my focus areas will be accessible healthcare within Frankfurt and a stronger retention towards the doctors, responsible and transparent allocation of tax dollars, community safety zones within our neighborhoods, and small business development and growth. In life, just in politics, everything has a best before date or an expiry date, if you will. When placing your vote in the coming weeks, keep in mind some of the new energetic candidates you've met tonight, what will mean for growth and development now and in the future. Now is the time for change, fresh faces, new ideas, and perspectives to continue for future generations. Just remember, Matt Joyce is the right choice for Frankfurt Ward.
Okay, next up is Linda Reed.
My name is Linda Reed, and I'm asking to be re-elected as your council representative for Frankfurt Ward 4 in the city of Twenty West. For the past 4 years, it has been a true pleasure to represent our beautiful community and the people within. Together, we've made a number of improvements, and I would welcome the opportunity to continue this work. I'm a long-time community-minded resident of Frankfurt who has always been active in our village through teaching, volunteering, and fundraising for community projects. From 2009 to 2017, I co-chaired the fundraising committee for the completion of an accessible splash park, an accessible skate park, as well as the computers and furnishings for our Frankfurt library. I continue to be a volunteer member of the Frankfurt Santa Claus Parade, Frankfurt Christmas Fantasy, and the Moving Forward 100th Anniversary Committee of Frankfurt Public School. During my first term, I worked to provide a city transit system from Frankfurt to Trenton and Belleville. I chaired the Frankfurt Task Force to create a historical river crossing plaque and parkette at the west side of the bridge. We have new equipment for children and adults in the parks, as well as free music on Wednesday nights in the Frankfurt Tourist Park. My approach for representing our village has been and will continue to be one of teamwork and collaboration. I'm committed to working with mayor and council members for the betterment of the Frankfurt community, to keep Trenton Memorial Hospital and to continue with the doctor recruitment program. I support continued maintenance of our roads and infrastructure, which is necessary to encourage economic development and tourism. I support continuous upgrade of our fire and protective services to ensure the safety of all residents in Quinte West. I am and will continue to be your advocate. If elected, I will continue to listen to your concerns and ideas, provide feedback about solutions and next steps, continue to advocate for necessary change, and continue to push for growth, development, and action. Together, we develop our community, and open communication is a key component to our success. Thank you for your consideration in the municipal election. Vote Linda Reed.
Coming up is Jim Elliott. There are 6 councilors running in the Murray Ward, and those living in Murray Ward get selected 2 of them.
Hey, thank you, Madam Moderator. Fellow candidates, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Elliott, and I'm running for re-election in Quinte West in Murray Ward 3. I'm a lifelong resident of Murray, and I'm a 4th generation on the same farm. I started operating a dairy farm and operated it for 35 years, changing later to catch crops. I married a Murray gal, and we raised 3 children there. In the past, I have served on Murray Council for 2.5 terms before amalgamation, then was elected and served on Quinte West Council from 2000 to the present. As a council member, I have served on Police Service Board, Public Works, Ag Advisory, Lower Trent Conservation, Committee of Adjustment, Corporate Finance, Fire and Emergency, and have also in the last 2 terms been appointed deputy mayor. I would like to continue to help move this city forward in a positive way. My main priorities are seeing our hospital and healthcare stay strong, attract doctors, nurses, and dialysis to our area. Encourage all forms of affordable housing, create more and well-paying jobs by attracting new industry and working with the Community Economic Development Commission and Trenton. I'd like our taxes to be kept to a minimum and be physically responsible for our roads, water, and sewer updates. Maintain fire and road equipment as needed and updated. Support our aid community and to apply for all federal and provincial programs as they become available, and maintain and support our recreation facilities as needed, and keep our good relationship with CFP Trent. I've always been available to answer questions or calls anytime, 24/7, and always got back to any resident with a problem. I have appreciated your support in the past and would ask for your consideration again. Thank you.
Doug Harrington.
Hi, everybody. My name is Doug Harrington. I run for council in Murray Ward. I lived in Murray for 20 years. I lived in Murray Council for 13. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity, but this is not what we need. We need each ward to have their own candidate, so we can ask the councilors who run and who are responsible and should be held accountable for what happens in the ward. Did you know Trent gets 1 council member for every 2,300 eligible voters? City gets 1 for 3,100. Murray gets 1 vote eligible, or 1 councilor for every 4,700 eligible voters. That doesn't seem fair. In the last 10 years, Murray has added approximately 1,000 new homes to the ward. That's $20 to $30 million in fees and taxes, and an estimated $2.5 million a year in taxes continuously. We have no aging infrastructure at Murray. We have no new bridge over Murray Canal repair place. Lower Road from Murray's and Tyndall should be repaved in 4 lanes. Not 2. It's not. It wasn't never meant to handle that traffic. Highway 2 from Walmart to Lower Road should also be 4 lanes. It should look just like Bell Boulevard in Belleville. Wide, lots of room. Did we buy any extra lawnmowers for weed eaters? No. So where's all our tax money going? We should no longer be acceptable for councilors just to be there. They must make a difference, and it's time for a change. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jordan White. This is my first time running for a candidate for council. I was born and raised in the Funny area and have been living in Murray Ward for the past 7 years with my wonderful wife, 10 years, my 2 young children, 1 and 4. So we're just getting into the JK stage, and that's fun. I earned my post-secondary education at Allwood, and I am currently working in the Funny area as an licensed insurance broker. One of the reasons that I have chosen to run for councillor is rural internet access. The rural internet access during COVID has been slow and unreliable. This, in my mind, I need to work together with other members of the government and together as councillors, we should bring that to everybody. It is needed for kids in school, working parents, home, and it should be available for people. I would like to be a new voice for Murray Ward, make sure people can, with ease, go and feel comfortable talking to councillors. There needs new services in our area. We are a huge ward, and it is rural. The growing cost of heating fuels and heating fuels, propane, oil, would like to get more natural gas to more homes for cost of everything going up. I will work with honesty and integrity on council to drive improvement of life in 20 West, Murray Ward, and every question and concern matters to me. Again, I want to make it easy for people to come and talk and voice their concerns to councilors. Again, I love our little community, and I want to hear your questions and concerns. Again, my name is Will Hoyland, and I want to be a new voice for Murray Ward. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is David Mccue, and I live and breathe Murray Township in the great city called Murray West. My wife Margaret and I have been married 49 years. My wife was a lifelong resident of Murray Township. She was born, raised, and received her early education in the north end of the ward. Her brother Martin still maintains a farm on the Morgan side road, used to call the 8th line. We raised our 5 children in Murray Ward. We are an entrepreneurial family. 2 of our daughters carry on a tradition started when our ancestors settled here in 1853. They own and operate 2 businesses founded by my wife. One of those businesses, David's Mobile Wash, recently celebrated its 45th anniversary in Murray Township. Now our grandchildren, I'm happy to say, representing our 6th generation in this area, have started and operate a small firewood business that only sells in the front yard to supply firewood to quite a number of commercial businesses throughout the West. And in that regard, our family makes things happen and we get things done. And in that regard, I'm proud as your council that this past term of council came together with public input to adopt a new strategic plan that will continue to bring coordinated growth, services, and prosperity to the city of Quincy West. I have devoted 49 years of my life to serving the citizens of Murray Ward and Quincy West, 41 years as a volunteer firefighter with Murray Township Fire Department, and 8 years as one of the 2 councilors on Quincy West Council. Being retired means that I have the time to respond to your inquiries promptly. I stand by my record of service. For strong, experienced, innovative, and compassionate representation on Quincy West Council, I respectfully ask for your vote to keep Mccue, that's me, working for you.
Maybe, can you come on up to the podium?
That's somebody else's phone, not mine.
When you hear that sound, it means you got
So I just want to take a quick second, really kind of my 2 minutes, and just thank everyone for coming out here tonight. This is a great turnout considering what we've gone through the last couple of years, and it's really nice to see all the candidates, mayoral and councillors putting their hand ready to take charge of our city. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Tyler Rickey. My background is in business and in law. I own and operate a local paving company called Pro Choice Asphalt Paving, and I continue to support and employ our local residents. I live in this community with my wife Tammy. She's born and raised in Willard. Tried to get her out, but she wouldn't take it. And our 3 little girls, 12, 10, and 4, who all go to school in this community. There are many issues that need attention, such as affordable housing, infrastructure, our hospital, the continuing of doctor recruitment. However, it's important to keep Quinte West strong and growing by continuing to attract new businesses that will bring new jobs. I believe council is ready for some new faces and a fresh perspective. I want to be that new face and fresh perspective for you. That person you can count on to communicate issues to the public. Someone that you can trust and rely on, but more importantly, someone who isn't afraid to speak up, isn't afraid to challenge that status quo, and someone who is willing to fight for this community to provide a safe and welcoming place for our families and future generations to live in. I'm in this community. I'm not going anywhere. I'm raising a family. As a matter of fact, every single employee in my corporation works and lives in the city of Quinte West. I support families. As a matter of fact, 2 hours ago, I was on a paver doing a lady's driveway on Northumberland Boulevard. So I'm on the streets. I'm on our roads every single day, talking to people. All these new subdivisions that have come up in Murray Wards. I got blood, sweat, and tears in some of those driveways. I'm out there and I want to be that voice for you like I have been for all of our great customers in this community. I want us to continue to grow and continue to thrive, and I want to be that voice that takes things to the next level, answers any questions you have. I believe my background in business and infrastructure could be a huge asset to this community and to see if I can grab on that golden horseshoe. So again, thank you very much. My employee said that I had to stay to vote for Tyler Rickey because I'll pay the better way for
The people on Facebook are asking the candidates to really speak into the mic because they're having a hard time hearing, and we have almost 100 people that are watching. So.
Somewhere where you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Take it off and start saying.
Right out.
Good evening. My name is Lori Bailey, and I live in the Murray Ward, where I resided for 16 years with my husband, Rachel. When deciding to run for council, it was just simple. We had the time seemed right for a fresh perspective that reflects our growing and diverse community. I feel community-based leadership is needed so that we have a broad spectrum of understanding to ensure when decisions are made at the council table, they are a reflection of the entire community. So many questions from community members in regards to poor roads, affordable housing for all, doctor recruitment, concern over rezoning farmland, residential, protection of wetlands, and they would like total transparency of project prioritization. I'm also not afraid to speak my mind and ask some questions that will be needed at the council table because I want to be the voice of my community. I'm always thoughtful, transparent, and honest in decision-making processes. Lastly, we need to remember we have 4 wards in the city, and each ward needs to listen to each other and help that ward when needed. 4 wards working coherently together will make us great.
Murray was the final candidate for Murray Ward. So just a reminder, there are 6 candidates running in Murray Ward. Those of you that are voting in Murray, you can just select 2 of those candidates. They will be available on top to after the evening. Next up, we're going to go on to Sydney Ward. And there are actually 7 candidates there for 4 positions. So we're going to start out with Edison Boyd. Please come on up.
Good evening, my name is Edgerton Boyce. When you hear the slogan, Queen West is the best, do you necessarily agree, or is there room for improvement? Yes, the citizens are amazing and we have wonderful amenities. Do we want to simply rest on our past accomplishments, or do we want to progress into a better community? Ask yourself, can we do better on our taxes? When dealing with City Hall, can we be better in customer service? How about doctor recruitment? Can we do better by also recruiting nurse practitioners and nurses? Can we do better in tourism, in affordable housing, inclusion, active transportation, or making your roads safer to be on? During my 15 years on Belleville Council, I have a proven track record of helping to progress the city. While knocking on city doors, you told me that status quo in regards to dealing with many issues isn't progressive, and you won't accept the answer, quote, that's the way we've always done it in the past. I agree, and that's not how I intend to operate if elected. That was never how I operated as a councilor. On June 28, 2021, Bill Lewinsky in his daily inquiry from the Cheap Seats media column stated about me. He was an advocate who put his words into action. He fought for not just bike lanes, but active transportation, better public transit paths, and a slew of environmental policies and practices that made the city a leader rather than a follower. He was a class and still is a class act and a genuinely nice guy, and the city is a little poor that he no longer sits at the council table. Angela and I chose to live in Queen West because we love it here and see great potential. Please elect Edgerton Boyce, invest in Queen West by choosing a progressive council. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Terry Cassidy, your City Board Councilor. Let me start by giving thanks to Suzanne Andrews and the Chamber of Commerce for both hosting this event and for their ongoing work, especially during the pandemic. They helped many businesses survive. Thank you so much. Thank you. Over this term, I have worked with council and many committees to create a greener strategic plan, to carefully monitor debt spending, debt and surplus financing, to actively support a roads levy and asset management, to encourage the province to reduce reliance on gas-fired electricity. I support and we've supported the $10 a day childcare from the West. We've improved long-term care at Hastings Manor, and we facilitated the opening of our first warming center for people who are freezing in the winter. During the next 4 years, I will listen to your concerns and work on your behalf to encourage all of us to use less fossil fuels and to begin a just transition, to protect our lands, watersheds, and farms with responsible development and support for conservation, to ensure high-quality services in public health, accessible services, waste management, windy transit, emergency fire, and police services, to work closely with Hastings County on affordable housing, human and community services, long-term care, and our EMS paramedicine, and to require, finally, to require review of the size of council, the ward structure, and the committee structure to realize some better effectiveness and to lower costs and keep our taxes low. In closing, I will continue to respect all citizens, colleagues, and staff by promoting diversity, inclusivity, and building consensus, never rubber stamping the city. Please vote by October 24th. Encourage and help your neighbors to do the same. I wish you peace and good health.
Next up, we have Allwood.
Evening, thank you all for coming tonight. I'm Allwood. Very soon, Queen West, we know the city of Queen West is turning 25 years old. And the life of the city, that's not very old, but in that short of time, I believe Queen West has become a city that is envious of any municipality across Ontario. I'm proud to call it home. I think it's a great place to live, work, and raise your family. Now, for better than 54 years, I called what's now called Pretty West my home. I was born and raised here. I grew up in the Murray Ward. As a young lad, you looked at the excitement of the big lights, it's trying to be Frankfurt Ward. And my wife Cindy and I chose to settle 25 years ago in the city. We raised our family there. We built and operated our family business on Honesty Road. I studied civil engineering at Loyalist College and have worked hard over the last 8 years as a counselor. I believe we have worked a great deal to improve infrastructure and implement many bills in our city. We put a lot of check marks. We've got a lot of very important jobs. Besides a lot of the issues that we're talking about here tonight. But looking forward, there's a lot more work to be done. There's a lot more check marks to be made. I feel with 35 years experience in heavy civil and business and 8 years as a council of the city where pretty much I bring a lot to the table to help get that done. This October, you'll cast your ballot. I'm asking that you vote Allwood council to the
John, hold on. No, sit down please a moment, please. Candidate Stephen Conlon was unable to be here tonight. He's celebrating festival for his religion tonight, and so we have going to show videos. So please listen to Stephen.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephen Conlon. I'm running for council in Ward 2 in the city. Before I begin, I'd like to give my special thanks to Suzanne Andrews and the team for putting this study together. I'm not about to repeat all the issues that all candidates have already said, and I've said them already. I do have safety issues. One, the roads can be a little bit darker than this. So how about some solar power? Various locations near an intersection or a mailbox. So the pedestrians can see where they're going, and then automobiles can also see them, and the automobiles and trucks can also avoid falling into the culvert. Next, there's a duplex on Duncan Street, across the street from the UPS store, which suffered a tragic fire last person to see. Today, nothing has been done. There should be a set time limit for properties undergoing renovations, what have you, unkept properties, unoccupied. There should be a set time limit, 6 months out. As well, in case anybody didn't know, there's a lot of people that are a doctor. I'm one of them. There's also an issue with the farming community. They have issues about urban sprawl. They're concerned about their livestock, livelihood, agriculture, and so the question is, do you want grass-fed beef, or do you want their custom beef? There's the question. That is about it. I am retired, and that was spend my free time early up to you. It's your voice. It's your choice. Thank you.
John, would you please come up, candidate Don Peason.
All right, well, I've already decided who I'm voting for. I first ran in 2006 and I didn't get in that year. And then in 2008, I was elected in a rare by-election and re-elected again in 2010, 2014, 2018. And with each election, I meet more and more and more friendly people. I love that. Why am I running for re-election? Well, I like to help people. And I really have come over the years to learn the process of navigating through the policies and the various processes that the City Hall works under.
And I invite people to give me a shout about their issues or their concerns or groups as to how to approach the council. I'd be happy to put in my 2 cents worth. I really enjoyed the teamwork of the council and the city staff to build 20 West. It has been very proud moments to see a lot of the efforts that have happened over the past few years. I am Quinte area born, raised, living in Sydney Ward since 1983. I sit on the planning committee, finance committee, fire and emergency services, Quinte conservation, public works in the past, long-term care in the past, and really proud to have worked with developing the city's strategic plan, which guides the city of Quinte West in every process that it takes. I ask questions, I think outside the box, I express my opinions, and I have helped people all across the city, not just Sydney. Every word, I have assisted people with their issues or concerns or answered their questions. Join me, vote Don Quincy, Sydney Ward Councillor. Thank you very much.
Next up is Hillary Long.
Hi, my name is Hillary Robert, and I'm running for council in Sydney Ward. Most of you probably have no idea who I am, and if you do, it's probably through my work in real estate, or definitely not my opinion in politics. Politics, not funny. I'm definitely not a politician. I never claimed that politics runs through my blood, and I can't even say that I even considered running before I moved now. The truth is, I'm just a regular person. I own a business in Quinte West. I do my work in Quinte West. I walk my dogs in Quinte West. And I shop at local businesses in Quinte West. But more so, and like thousands of people in our community, I don't have a family. I see the impact of having very little affordable housing and the need for stable, well-paid jobs. And I have concerns about the future growth and development of our community and the impact poor planning for the future will have on my neighbors, my friends, my family, and the environment. My platform is centered on infrastructure improvements, like creating a downtown and waterfront master plan, creating more affordable housing and an emergency safe shelter, the environmental mess of our marina, and especially in Sydney Ward, the chaotic pothole roads. Accessible healthcare is another primary focus of my platform. Continuing to support and revisit our physician recruitment plans and the available funding for those programs, and lobbying the provincial and federal government for policy change to support rural and smaller communities' access to medical services. And finally, inclusion and basic human respect for members of our community. You will never find a blatantly racist, homophobic, or transphobic word come out of my mouth or accidentally get posted on my social media. I want the best for the future of our community. And being that I am not a politician by nature, I want to listen to feedback and not posture false promises. I don't care about photo ops, and this is not a retirement hobby for me. I have a long ways to go for that. I care about people, our planet, and having a positive impact on my community. And I hope to earn your trust for the upcoming election.
And the final candidate for Sydney Ward is Shelly Stuttle.
Good evening, neighbors and friends. I am Shelly Stuttle, longtime resident of Sydney Ward 2, Quinte West. I bring a wealth of experience to the table, having spent the last 30 years as municipal treasurer preparing and implementing municipal budgets. As a senior municipal financial advisor for the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, I analyze best financial practices of municipalities across Eastern Ontario. I understand the municipal tax and assessment system and will be committed to using these skills to ensure that council makes financially responsible decisions. I enjoy volunteering and have worked part-time as both a teacher and a mentor to other municipal employees. And I have served as an elected board member for over 20 years, including two-time president of the Municipal Finance Officers Association of Ontario, and recently been re-elected as vice president. I have been the Quinte West soccer club coach, the Quinte West soccer club treasurer and coach, a hockey team manager, and currently I'm a proud member of the Trenton Horticultural Society. If elected as a trusted team leader for Quincy West, I will work to ensure that the city keeps core infrastructure such as roads and water at affordable levels and in good condition, as well as being part of the team that guides improvements for parks, trails, and city facilities. I support responsible development, and want to ensure that building and development can be completed quickly and efficiently, and that growth pays for growth. I would like to foster a healthy and vibrant community with safe, clean, and green-friendly neighborhoods by improving transit, including more bus routes, as well as improvements to trails and building new bike lanes for a better and safer flow of traffic. I would be honored to be elected as part of the team of the City of Quincy West Council and ensure this community continues to flourish. Please follow me on Facebook and remember, all in with Stuttle.
Just a reminder for those of you that are voting in Sydney Ward, there are 7 candidates. So now we're moving on to the final award tonight, Trent Ward, and first up is John Thompson. 8 candidates in Trent Ward, and you can elect 5.
Changes in the air. Tonight, you're being introduced to a number of new faces, along with some experienced councilors who have put their names forward in hope of representing you on the next city council. I'm not only one of these new faces, but I'm also an experienced councilor who served the city of Quincy West between 2014 and 2018. On election day, I hope to garner your support to serve as one of your city councilors once again. 2 minutes isn't a very long time to outline the reasons why I feel I'm a worthy candidate. Instead, I hope that my track record as a former councilor and my extensive volunteer work in the community, especially during the pandemic, is proof that I'm a man of action and get things done. In closing, I hope that the voters in the city of Quincy West give full consideration to the new faces and new voices who've shown the courage to stand up on your behalf. It's time for a change. And I hope that I'm part of that change, along with some of the new faces and some of the experienced councilors I'm supporting. Please vote. Encourage everyone to vote. Every vote matters. Thank you.
Next up is Zach McCarty.
Good evening. My name is Zach Card, and I'm running for City Council in Ward 1. Born and raised in Napanee, I moved to Quincy West nearly 15 years ago. I went to Brock and Queen's University before my brother and I founded Wildcard Brewing Company in 2015. In 2016, I joined the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors to boost small business in our area, and have been on since. I married my wife Brenda last year, and we adopted a dog this summer. My house, business, and dog park are all in Trenton Ward, so you could say I lived my entire life here. I've spoken to countless voters since the campaign began. The issues are clear: housing, doctors, infrastructure, developing the downtown waterfront, and supporting our growing vulnerable persons population. I'm happy to talk policy if there was time, but for now, I'll focus on why I'm the right choice for Ward 1 voters. Trenton's rough and tumble reputation has improved over the years, and progress has been made, but the world is always changing, and the next generation must take an active role in solving the issues of their time. Municipal government alone cannot fix the issues I mentioned, but community consultation and sound decision-making can make a positive impact. And we really need to make that positive impact. Many in our city are suffering without enough doctors or housing options. The best way to accomplish pragmatic, common sense change is by mixing the wisdom from experience with the passion and ideas of newcomers. Anyone who's worked with me in the business, community, or on boards would agree that I'm a consensus builder who wants results. I meet people where they're at and care about outcomes, not ideology. I'm optimistic about the future of our city. People are moving here in record numbers from all over Canada to build a life, but we must stay ahead of the curve to keep it that way. The best council is an inclusive and engaged one that reflects the various cultures, demographics, and stakeholders of our community. I believe that more small business input and new perspectives from the younger generation are needed to meet the challenges of today and tomorrow. If I sound like the fresh voice you want on council, please vote for me.
Next up, we have Sally Freeman.
Well, I adjust this, I have to say, in high school, these chandeliers I can be. Good evening, everyone. Oh my God, this is a big crowd. I couldn't believe when it stood up. Anyway, the reason I'm here is to, oh, closer. All right, I've been recently asked a number of times, what's the biggest problem in Quinte West? Well, I've heard it a lot tonight from these people, and that's healthcare. More hospital beds we need, more long-term care beds we need, and most importantly, home care supports to keep people safely in their home and out of those hospitals. And of course, more doctors and nurses to support the ones we already have. As a member of the Physician and Recruitment Committee, which is something I've been involved in since my very first term as Trenton City Council, we've had a lot of success. In fact, we were able to build a family health team building, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with, at 80 Catherine Street to capacity. But as our older doctors retire, we need several more to replace them, as older doctors carry enormous rosters. In the last 5 years, our recruitment committee signed 14 new doctors, and our council has authorized the purchase of the building to house even more of them. And as they work their way through bureaucracy, we'll have a spot for them. We have also written to the province and the feds to tell them to get the doctors through the system faster, because we need them now. Now, I could go on and on about another committee I'm on, which is the Quinte West nonprofit housing. We have a lot of housing that's affordable in this community, and we just have to keep asking the province, the feds, to help us build more and more. It's not something that the community can do by themselves. Today we opened our new Humane Society, and I have to tell you that was the most heartwarming thing I've ever been. Belleville and Quinte West coming together that made that happen. And the same thing happened with our hospice. I had a dear friend who spent her last night in that hospice. And as much as I miss her, I am thrilled that she had that piece of being in that building, and Quinte West started that one, and we got it good. Thank you all very much.
Next up, we have Michael Constance.
Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for organizing tonight's event, and Heroes Landing for hosting it. Most businesses and residents are familiar with my family's long-standing commitment to this community. The theme of community will encompass my speech as I ask the voters to re-elect Michael Constance as your Trent Ward Councillor for a third consecutive term. My parents started Jim's Pizzeria in 1970 and have taught me the importance of making positive impacts in the region. Our family business is now better known as Tommaso's Italian Grill and is a destination restaurant. My wife and I lived in Quinte West before graduating from the University of Guelph. We could have found work in any city with our degrees. However, we chose to stay here. We have a daughter and a son, both in high school. Their support allows me to devote the necessary hours needed to be an effective counselor. I will continue to think of ways to move the city forward so that my children and future generations want to come back. During this council term, my unwavering commitment was clear when I was trusted with recruiting 2 key figureheads. I was part of the task group that hired the city's chief administrative officer. Similarly, I helped select the current medical officer of health for Hastings, Prince Edward. In both instances, the process was time-consuming and required an amount of dedication. In addition to being the director for Hastings, Prince Edward Public Health, I hold a similar position for the Lakeview Family Health Team. And if those 2 organizations are enough of a mouthful, I also am one of the original members of the Physician Recruitment and Retention Team. Our innovative approach has recently resulted in purchasing a new building so that the newly signed doctors have a place to practice. Now, there's more to being a counselor than showing up for meetings. Responsibilities go beyond decisions for the city. You must actively be immersed in this community. Get involved, giving back, whether that's through charitable organizations or with your time to volunteer for worthy causes. I embrace this approach, and I know it makes me a better leader. Please vote Michael Constance.
Next up, we have David Loveland.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. My name is David Allwood. I've lived here my entire life. I've gone to two of the best schools in the area. So I'm St. Peter's Catholic and St. Paul's. I was proud to start in 1988. And I graduated not with honor, mind you, but I tried. I don't know anything about politics other than what I hear and what I see. And having 4 children that I've raised who all want to live in this area, I'm proud to see that they continue to go. Having 3 granddaughters as well. I know I look pretty young for my age, but I want to try. And that's all I can say to that. Infrastructure is important, doctors' retention is important, and so is the hospital. If you want to get to know a little more personal as to why that means a lot to me, come and see me at my table. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have David O'Neill.
Hello, I'm David O'Neill. For the last 4 years, it's been a privilege to represent the taxpayers of Quinte West, serving on multiple city committees and representing the city on various organizations, including the Quinte West Chamber of Commerce and Downtown Business Association. I have shown I will question my proposed council decisions, or sorry, any proposed council decisions, and strive to ensure accountability and transparency of operations of the city to its taxpayers. I've dedicated my time on council to improving the lives of every single taxpayer of the city and ensuring everyone is treated with dignity and respect. The most important role as a councillor is to represent the taxpayer and assist them when called upon. I strive to be very accessible by answering my phone, responding to texts and emails when questions, problems, or concerns have been brought to my attention. The city of Quinte West is a multi-million-dollar organization, and councillors need to understand how business works, including budgets and balance sheets, in order to help the city flourish. The decision council makes can have a profound impact on the lives of the people in our community, and I believe I have the knowledge and experience needed to create positive change. I hope that you consider me when casting the vote this October. I feel I've worked tirelessly over the last 4 years to make improvements that will benefit our citizens and community as a whole. I think internet voting is the way of the future, but for seniors, we need to make it easier, not harder for them. Many seniors can't deal with technology, and I would vote to bring back paper ballots and more voting center options in the next election. Placing a focus on growth, jobs, and addressing the housing gap are all key to bettering the lives of current and future generations. As times change, the community needs to change with them. The city requires new energy, attitude, and ideas to improve the lives of all Quinte West residents.
Leslie goes, please.
Good evening. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. I'm Leslie Rochway, and I'm a lifelong resident of Quinte West. I've been married to my husband Adam for 39 years, and I have 2 successful adult children with spouses, as well as 5 grandchildren who all live in Quinte West. My mom and dad also live here. My 8 years as a councillor has been about raising and representing community concerns on council. It has been my honor to work for and alongside residents to help the city grow into a vibrant and active community. Along with my experience as councillor, I also have 33 years experience in a career working for municipalities in many different capacities. My last position was the Parks and Facilities Manager. This experience has provided me with the first-hand knowledge and professionalism to keep Quinte West moving forward in a positive direction. In addition to serving on many city-focused committees, I currently volunteer as a member of the Trent Sportsville Co-op Foundation, which provides funding for local youth sports leagues. And I am an active board member of the Hastings and Prince Edward Humane Society. As was said, we're proud to open the new facility today. As mentioned above, my entire family lives in Quinte West, and that's the reason I am running for a 3rd term for Quinte West Council. The last few years have been very challenging for everyone. With the cost of living rising significantly, People are struggling to purchase gas to get to work and put food on the table. Council must ensure that decisions made regarding spending and tax increases are done with all residents in mind. I have and will continue to challenge decisions regarding unnecessary spending of taxpayers' money. The future forecast is for a possible recession in the next year. We need to strongly focus on the needs of our families. This includes securing the future of our hospital and continuing to recruit family physicians, as many people do not have doctors. For health and well-being, our residents also need to enhance our parks, recreation facilities, and trails, and always be conscious of the environment when making decisions. There is much more to accomplish, and with your support, I will be a dedicated member of council. I will apply my leadership and experience to continue to make 20 West the greatest place to live, work, and raise a family. Thank you.
The final candidate of this second ward is Jason Young.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's on the last candidate, so I don't have to worry about it. My family moved here about 2 years ago. This is where we decided to raise, my wife and I decided to raise 5 kids, ranging from 2 months to 18 years, 18 months, but she's the one of us. A little bit about me. You might have seen my face at Walmart. I'm one of the Suzanne Andrews. So I've been there and I'm always willing to help. That's all I want to do. When I was a kid, I wanted to be a cop. I couldn't because of colorblind. I wanted to be a firefighter. Can't because of colorblind. These are the things that I wanted to do in the community. So I felt that running for the council was a way to be part of the community. This is a community that I'm going to raise my kids in. I want to see it grow. So as everyone said, housing, road maintenance, everything that we share, all the views are all the same. So I can sit here and tell you that. What I want to tell you is I'm going to work for you, not against you, with you, for you. That's what council should be doing. That's what politicians should be doing. They should be working for you. If you agree, October 24th, October 11th, October 24th, Jason is my name. I want to use all the skills that I've learned. I've been working since I was 17, and it's a long time now. And that's it. I know it's the same. I can tell you I'm talking about table. Talk for hours. Anytime. Well, thank you very much, guys.
A friendly reminder for those of you that are voting in 10th ward, there are 8 candidates to choose from, and you need to select 5 of them. We are going to take a couple of minutes to move the other podium out of the way and to ask the female candidates to please come on up and take their seats. We've got Photo Duluth, Jim Harrison, and Karen Sharp. We're going to be asking questions, and hopefully those of you that have a question to ask that has been submitted. The Government Affairs Committee and Chamber board members have been sorting through them. I think they're going to get questions to me. We are going to start off though with 4 questions that have come from the business community from a roundtable we held last week. So please come on up, our candidates. Mention as well, while we're just getting resettled here. The city of Pretty West is doing an online election. There are cards on the table for those of you that are here tonight and are unsure as to when you can vote and how you can vote. There are some cards that you can pick up at the table. For those of you that are joining us online, for the city Pretty West website, pennywest.ca. They do have all the voting instructions there as well. My understanding is that there's starting on October the 11th, there will be 3 locations. There's going to be Heroes Landing, Locations by the Bay, and the Battle Community Center, where people can go and get help if they're I'm sure when we go online, there'll be, people there to help you. So the cards are available.
Think that there's a few places.
It is, Heroes Landing, and the dates are on the cards of which locations are open on which days. So there's Heroes Landing, there's the location by the day in Eastside, and the Battle of Community Center. Okay. All right, so welcome. It's so exciting to have 3 candidates to choose from in this upcoming election. We're going to start off with a 3-minute opening remarks from our 3 candidates, and then we are going to get into the questions. So we're going to start with Paul Blue.
Yes, that's all. Does anybody want to have some change over here?
Yeah.
If you want change, it's time to vote. It's time to select people that was not in council, because a fresh look will start with your vote. Thank you.
Okay, our next introduction is from Jim Harrison.
Everybody can hear me. Need it closer? Okay, thank you. Anyways, my name is Jim Harrison, and I'm proud and honored to be part of our city's growth over the past 8 years as your mayor. I'm married to Jean, a lifelong resident of Murray Ward. I'm a proud father of 2 adult children, their spouses, and all living in Quincy West. Proud grandfather of 6 grandchildren, retired elementary school principal, owner and operator of the Deep Cascroft Farm. I'm a caring community builder who enjoys working with and helping people. That's my job every day, 24/7. Yes, I work with people and I enjoy working with people. So I'm, in a simple word, I say what I mean what I say, and I do what I say I'll do. I have experienced approachable, dedicated, hardworking, and who attends and supports all community activities. And you will notice that my wife has been with me everything that I have been in. Since I've started in politics, my simple, I guess you'd say, philosophy is that if you ask me, you ask Jane. And Jane comes with me when she can. Of course, she's an independent woman and all the rest of you, but she makes that final decision. But I'll tell you, she's a real supporter and a great asset to me and to you. I work well with all levels of government, as you've seen, and I also work well with the neighboring mayors. I've worked with Brian Oster from Brighton, Mitch Benedict, Steve Ferguson, and so on. And we work together well because, as it was just said today, we opened the Humane Society new build. That was so overdone, I guess you'd say. Used, the old building was used far longer than it should. And as you know, today we opened a new one, and that is what you would say the beginning of the future of a great Humane Society and the great work that they do, plus the education community facility they have there. And a great build by Task Force Engineering. The Task Force is a real asset to many of our partnerships. I've been elected twice to the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards by my peers. And, you know, again, we're stronger together because I meet with people from Cornwall as far north as Thunder Bay. And we discuss many different issues related to police. But the best place is right here. I respectfully ask for your support in the election coming up. And if there's any questions, we have my day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Suzanne, and thank everyone for coming tonight. My name is Karen Sharp, and I ask for your support to become your mayor of Quincy West. 8 years ago, I asked for support to become the Sydney Ward Councillor, And you responded by electing me for 2 consecutive terms, and we all work together for the greater good of the city. Tonight, I am asking all Queen West residents for their support as we enter a new and exciting term of council. During my 40-year career in the public sector and having worked for 7 municipalities, including Queen West for 14 years, I bring extensive experience in municipal governance. Over the past 8 years, as a member of council, I've served on 14 committees. I've enjoyed the opportunity to meet, listen, and work with many residents and volunteers. I remain committed to working together on matters of concern and interest impacting our community, both locally and regionally. I am a collaborative, inclusive leader who appreciates and respects the views of fellow councilors, staff, stakeholders, our volunteer committee, and most importantly, the citizens of Quincy West. I will welcome new innovative ideas as we progress forward and not just accept the status quo. As mayor, my priority will be to build a vibrant and safe community while remaining fiscally responsible to our taxpayers. I will work with council to bring forth the many diverse perspectives of our great city. Together, we will develop strategies to address affordable and appropriate housing, continue to support our condition improvement and retention, and invest in the maintenance of our infrastructure. The municipality of Quincy West has experienced significant growth. Your mayor and council has a duty to be responsive to the changes and needs of our growing community while maintaining our current infrastructure. Considering the economic climate and its impact on residents, managing future spending will require extensive prioritization and longer-term operating and capital budgets. Together with our partners, we will offer inclusive and supportive community. Progress includes Allwood. I respectfully ask for your support and look forward to leading the great city of Quincy.
Thank you for your opening comments and to give everyone a chance to hear a little bit about you and start to understand what your priorities are going to be. This next question is going to be going to all pages, comes from the Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to start out with Jim Harrison and then Claude and then Karen. If elected as mayor, you will be leading the next term of council. What are the main areas you are going to focus your leadership on?
Thank you very much, Suzanne. Number one for all of us is health. Yes, it is. And we have initiated the doctor recruitment program. And I want to go back to when I was first elected mayor. The speculation was that they're going to close at Memorial Hospital. So I started the committee called RFP meetings, Ben Frost, Frank Berry, and Mike Cowan. And they have continuously supported and led the cause to keep our hospital open. Council just recently bought what I call the old Massive Divots building over on Maroon, North Street. And we're going to change that building into doctor facilities, healthcare workers' offices. So we want to get as many, so we're hiring as many doctor offices and healthcare workers in that building as we possibly can. That's so that we can encourage doctors to come here and work with us and work for you. That's my priority. Yes, housing is important as well, and we work with developers as best we can to keep the land moving so that they have places to continuously build. And what's affordable? That's a question. That's a meaningful question because we know that the cost of land right now has increased dramatically from where it was 2 years ago. And that just keeps going up because land is not valued. And that's the way it is. So we have to work with all levels of government to get support. And we're working now with Hastings County to build some affordable housing on the old College Street School property. So those are some of the initiatives. Yes, thank you.
Next up, Paul, would you like me to repeat the question?
As elected mayor, I am just the elected representative citizen. I am not the better. I'm here to listen what the council is saying. But how can you have leadership if the council don't represent you in your ward? I see 12 wards, 12 councillors. Now, if you look at the map, okay, you're not being represented correctly. Okay, you look here in Murray Township, the southern candidate are south of Laurel, nothing about. Why is that? Because we don't make it possible for a person to be elected in that ward. If we look at City Township, we have a great failure here. We're saying, well, thank you for the base, but we have a warrant called for the base. No, no. That's very wrong in my point of view. Okay. Now, if we look north, we have no representation here. Same thing. Now, one area, the only people that are lucky here tonight are the people from Frankfurt, and that is what is election. You should be able to elect a councillor from your ward. Frankfurt, you're lucky people because you have 3 candidates and you choose the one you want that represents you. As mayor, I just be there to see. I want to have a senior citizen sit next to me and a student. We want wisdom and we want to see future. I want them to sit by me to help and to listen to what the council is saying. But please vote new people. Thank you.
Karen, you need to repeat the question.
My focus going forward as the mayor of Queen West will be to remain fiscally responsible to our taxpayers while addressing the needs and priorities of our city. We really need to spend more time on the budgeting and would like to establish an ongoing budget committee. I recognize the necessity of effective communication and providing good customer service to our citizens. This is an area that I think we could work better on. We have great staff, but it is something that we could see if we could improve in that particular area. I will work with council to bring forth the diverse perspectives of our rural and urban community. I want to focus on including our citizens, businesses, community partners, and our volunteers to achieve our collective goals. Like all of us, we will focus on supporting our physician recruitment and retention committee efforts. They're working so hard, and anything we can do to help them. They've had great success. And as Councilor Freeman pointed out, we get a new doctor and then one retires, but they're working so hard. And now with the new medical building, I know this will really help all of us with that particular area, but anything we can do. Maintaining the roads, sidewalks, trails, and parks for safety, accessibility, and growth is essential. Reference to the asset management plan is important to address these needs. This is an excellent document which indicates the conditions of the roads, and that's what council will need to use because everybody wants the road done, and that can't happen. So these are the documents we will need to follow. The results of the community safety and well-being plan indicate we need to enhance access to mental health and addiction treatment programs and to address affordable housing. These have to stop. Thank you.
We'll get lots of opportunities to finish those points. So our next question, we're going to start with Paul, with Karen, and then Jim. This question is around planning, and we have received complaints from Queen West businesses about inconsistencies and delays when dealing with the planning department. Considering the growth the city is going through, what will you do as mayor to ensure the planning department has the resources needed so our businesses can continue to invest, grow, and prosper?
Yeah.
So speaking, okay. It's we have the 12 councillors, and they are the one that make the vote. I'm just the citizen representative. I don't have a vote. Of course, long-term planning, when you have only a candidate that is there for 4 years, needs to pay attention. And that's why that we had the last week a meeting with the Quinty Builder Association, and they have a lot of input that we have to listen to. But what's more important is that the 12 councillors come to you and listen to you to bring to the table what are your issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Planning and Building Department has been under extreme pressure to respond to this growth, both in the number of residential permits and building renovations and expansions. I will meet with staff to review where any roadblocks are and what ideas may be appropriate to improve efficiency while adhering to provincial requirements. One of the greatest issues we are facing, as many of you are here in this room and watching, are retaining experienced planners, are retaining staff. We are struggling as well. We have great staff, but however, they don't always stay, and we need to work on ways to keep the staff. What I would like to do is work with Human Resources Department to reach out to recently retired and well-experienced planners and engineers in our local area to assist us on a part-time basis as we get through the crunch. We do have excellent planning staff, but we need help to expedite the timeline for approvals and permits. City staff are currently preparing a request for proposal for an electronic permitting application process. This will help the developers both wanting a building permit and the application process. We always encourage pre-consultation with staff members on complex building permit applications. I would also propose that annually we host a public workshop to provide information on the building application permit process, particularly for small building construction projects. Come to the workshop, you can have all the staff perform and help guide and give information. I will also support and encourage continued dialogue between Loyalist College that staff are working on now for an internship program with the technological department to assist with staffing shortages. Thank you.
Quinty West faces many new challenges, and staff in particular in the planning department and such. Development is occurring at a rapid pace. We will continue to fill vacancies as they occur. And as yes, we just heard vacancies are occurring at City Hall as well as with employees. I can tell you that the sound company at the end of Stockdale Road goes to Toronto twice a day to pick up their employees. We are obviously searching for planners, and we did have a planner hired to work with us for a year and then left a better job, more money, more holidays, so on, really close. That's what we're faced with. That's what makes it difficult for the planning department to make sure that all the documents are being and that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted, because if we don't do it right, then when you get your house and get what it is you're purchasing, there are legal issues that arise. So yes, we are looking at a program, electronic program to help with it. We've also increased our density in housing per acre from 10 to 25 houses per acre is what the density is now. And that tells you just how important housing is to all of us in the city. And then you think from 10 to 25 per acre, that's a big increase. So yes, housing is vital, and we need to continue with the permit process and get things done rapidly. But just before I came today, I had a phone call from a developer in the Frankfurt area who's pushing and he's having some pushback from City Hall. And remember the other part of this equation is the province. Province is telling people like you one thing and telling us the exact opposite. Okay.
Please, we're going to go on Karen first and then Jamie. As our community becomes more diverse, what would you do as mayor to ensure Quinte West fosters the growth of accessibility and inclusivity in our community?
I am committed to working with the community to reduce and eliminate barriers so that all residents can take part in everything 20 West has to offer. We need continuous improvement in the area of accessibility and to reaching the goals set by the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act, which will require funding from our government partners. We need to recognize people of all abilities when we develop trails, parks, and programs. And I respect and appreciate the hard work of our accessibility committee to address all of these considerations when looking at building permit applications. We need to include, my sister-in-law Jane is deaf, and my late brother-in-law was visually impaired. I cannot walk in their shoes, but our family has observed the challenges that they face. And we need to work together to invest in funding for accessibility retrofits in city buildings. Projects such as the Let Trenton Lions Club plans to construct an inclusive playground, which will be accessible in Centennial Park, should be encouraged. Our community continues to grow, and we must recognize the diversity and cultural interests of our growing city. I recommend that we establish a Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee similar to Belleville Committee to promote understanding and inclusivity. This committee would encourage newcomers to join, and representatives from our entire committee could offer various events, share cultural interests, and celebrate the diversity of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I've always been a good listener, and I think that's so important when we talk about this again. And the majority of our city buildings meet the accessibility code. I want you to know when we go to the OPP station, in particular, we spent many hours discussing the doors that would be available to use to enter that building. The OPP detachment and the OPP from Ontario, they're, I guess you'd say, codes that the doors have to have handles and you pull them open. That does not meet the code. So we pursue, and the doors we have there are the kind that open automatically. And that's because of what you pay. It's called perseverance to make sure that things are done the way they should be. And council and city staff have continuously been in training. And it's never ending because we need to be so inclusive and so knowledgeable of what's happening. I want you to know I met the staff owners here a couple of weeks ago. They're from Toronto. They're an Indian nationality, but they're so proud to be here. He told me that you know, all our children are in school in the various schools in our city, and every one of them has made friends and been excited with no negativity. That's fantastic from my point of view. Those are the kinds of things we need to keep doing. And we use their evidence.
That's standard of the problem. We have the council, which are the ambassador. We have the constant and the ambassador. The constant is the city hall. So we have the ambassador. The elected one will make policies and will direct them through our consulants, and they will carry out what we say. If you don't elect a good concept of councillor, and we don't have a good council, we don't spend, councillor, you're not gonna work out good in the contract. That's why it's important that we have a mayor that is new and that will bring a fresh team. And it's your other team, if you will have the same people will have to work with it. And all these questions is just air. We want to have a good structure. If you don't have a good structure, you cannot move forward. You need a good structure. It speaks for itself. You have no say in that. So it's important that when you vote, that you will achieve. And it's all up to you.
Now, the final question is coming from our business roundtable. We're going to start with Jim, then Claude, and then end it with Karen. If elected as mayor, what would you like to see in a housing strategy for the city to ensure there are enough houses and apartments to meet the current demand?
Thank you very much for the question. And it's such a simple question. So easy to answer. No, it isn't. It's a very difficult question. It certainly is. It's one that we dealt with. I've been in 4 different settings this fall during this election, pre-election, and every one of them has talked about affordable housing and homelessness. Yes, and we as a city, we've got to develop a strategy to deal with this, and we are building on the west end. We're trying to build some affordable housing, and we have also in Ottawa a couple of builders who are looking at building affordable housing, and we also have at Clarington House, we're building some more apartments there. So yes, we have to get all levels of government together to support this. Somebody has to take it, someone, and whether we get the federal government, provincial, or what, it's going to come from you, because you have to put in some dollars to make it work. That's exactly where we're at. And there are many people facing homelessness because of the increased cost of what we're living in right now. Land has gone ridiculously high. Not that it isn't worth it, but that's what's happened to us. So you try to build something and you've already got, used to be able to buy a lot for 50 or 60,000. Now you're looking at the same lot at 250,000. Then you're looking at the material, the increase in material. You look at the guy with the cement, the increase in cement and the cost of the fuel. All of this makes it a challenge for all of us, but we will certainly do our best to come up with solutions, because no one should be homeless. Thank
you.
If elected mayor, and with the support of the council, I want to have the office for the federal and the office of the provincial government at City Hall. We have to work together, and these are projects that we cannot work solo. And when you establish the communication, you move forward. So having them not part of, we're not moving forward. We can extend the discussion of homeless and housing. There are 2 different items, and it's not 2 minutes that will answer that. Thank you.
The lack of affordable housing in Hastings County, including in the West, is at a critical level. People said they can't find affordable housing. It will take Hastings County representatives, putting West, our government partners, and the community as a whole together to address the housing needs in our community. The Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan has 2 action tables currently working, one being affordable and appropriate housing, under the leadership of the Community Safety and Wellbeing Advisory Committee led by Inspector Reeves. They're working with grassroots, knowledgeable community groups, and agencies, providing advice to council. Moving forward, council will need to provide resources and support this matter to the council table, along with our stakeholders, to elevate this as a priority. What do I want to see in a housing strategy? targets and timelines, community consultation, funding sources and opportunities, because it will take provincial and federal funding. We need to look at potential models such as altogether housing models in Mr. Bob Patrol and Bill Fry. We also need to look at community improvement plans. I really want to make note of the draft official plan, which will be coming out, and I believe it will help us with this housing crisis as well over time. It will take a long time. It'll include items for higher density, flexible residential zones and permanent range of housing style, allowance for secondary units, which are very important, new mixed-use policies to encourage residential units over commercial properties, proposals for expansion of boundaries, and new policies to increase the maximum unit densities across development sites. We will need to work together. We need to have affordable housing, and we need to find the land to build apartments. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We're now going to move on to some questions that are coming from the audience, and these may be directed at one, two, or all three candidates. The first one is directed to Jim Harrison and Karen Sharp. It's about sectioning off of rural lots. They want to know why in Quinte West are people only allowed to sell one lot every 10 years, when in our neighboring communities in Belleville and Brighton, there's 3 lots for 10 years. If we have a housing study, should this be something that should be changed? And I'll start with Karen and you.
Thank you, Stan, for that question. We went through the official plan public meeting process. This guideline is coming from the province as it relates to our official plan. We had meetings and we did hear from the agricultural and rural owners of properties who wanted to have an additional severance. It's the timeline. So part of that will come forward in the draft review. Council has not made a decision on that because it's draft, but it is something under consideration that will come forward to council and before the end of the year or early in the new year.
Jim, you want to answer?
Yeah, sure. And it's a tough issue. We just heard a few minutes ago from the guy saying that farmers are upset because people are building houses next to their operation. Well, I think in some cases that's true, but it's the same with the guy who hunts. If he hunts, he's got a license, he's got to respect what he does. It's the same for the farmer. He's got an operation, we have to respect the people beside him. Yes, severances are most commonly determined by the province. And the province tells us in our official plan how many we can allow you to have. And that's exactly what it does. But it doesn't stop us because council can overrule province. If you come for an application and the Committee of Adjustment approves your severance, and then it has to be rezoned. It comes to council. If it doesn't have to be rezoned, it doesn't come. But let's say it comes to council. If council can make the decision, yes, we support that particular lot because of its location or because it's not on valuable farmland, and therefore you could use it separate to build it. The province is also saying that you, with a house on your particular area, lot, whatever, you can build another house on that lot. But you can't sell it. You can't sell it. So that's useless because most people, when they want to build another house, it's their children. And children need to have a mortgage. And mortgage companies won't consider you unless you own the land you're trying to build. So that's again, the province is speaking on both sides of the club. So yes, we will do our best to help you with the severance. I can't say it's going to happen, but we'll certainly help you. If that's as far as I can. Thank you.
Come up a little bit today, and this question is directed to all 3 candidates. I'm going to start with Shelly. What are you going to do about the ward system in Quinte West as it is no longer fair?
That's right. Thank you very much. Yes, it's important
to have the 12-ward system for 12 councillors, that we have a fair election like we have in Frankfurt. It's also fair for us to know the councillor that come from my neighborhood, that I know that he is representing me. People don't vote for you, they vote against you. Should Linda not be, the people do not like what she did, then people will vote against her. If the people like her, they will keep her. No. But we have 2 new councillors, and that's probably the option that the people will take, but that's a lot they have that we don't have. Over here, when you're not into this, okay? You have 6 bullets, 5 bullets in the 6th barrel, turn, okay? You go for one and check for other guys. Now, what happens? They come back again and again and again and again. That's a very bad incest system. I hate it. And we have to be fair and represent our people. Over here, we have nobody representing south of the Golden Valley, and we have nobody representing downtown. That's our strength, is that we have the Chamber of Commerce, we have FedNow, we have the DPIA, and we have a council. This is going to make it work forward. But what do we do? Zero, because the system that we're presently under just allow you to have the same people over and over.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want you to know that over the time I've been on council, we have only had 1 meeting adjourned because of lack of quorum. 1 meeting, that's it. That tells you and me that the people you have elected represent you in every part of the city. Every part of the city, regardless of where they live, regardless of the work that they represent. They are available to you if you're on Eagleton Road or wherever you are. They are available to help you with whatever it is you've got. The same in Ward 1 downtown. The people, you know, they're not living in glass houses or cages. They're available. You reach out to any one of them and they will help you. I guarantee it. And that's exactly what has happened. From my experience, I praise every one of our council members for being willing to go that extra mile and represent you wherever you need, not specifically to the ward they're elected. And I think.
Yes. I like the ward system. We're over 504 square kilometers. And it's important that we have vast individuals that are representing the various wards. But I agree that the councillors that I've worked with, they represent Quincy West. They may live in a particular ward, and when there's maybe a localized issue or a neighborhood issue, they would be more front and center and know the neighbors, and they can help present that at the council table. But certainly if I'm in Frankfurt, I'm going to Trent for supper, probably over to Tomaso's. But you know, we know all the places and we work together. So I really think it's important to have strong and diverse representation on council from all the wards, and then we continue to work together. So I'm not caught up on which street or here or there, as long as we maintain the wards, because I do think they're important. Now, one thing I will go a little further to say is the boundaries are confusing when you go to the election, what ward I'm in and who's there. And one street over, I'm Sydney, and over here I'm Frankfurt. And some of it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially with the growth. You know, if you move here, you think you're in Trenton, but no, you're in Murray, this kind of thing. I like the 4 wards, I like the representation. But if we had to look at the boundaries, I'd be willing to do that. But certainly, I like the ward system. I feel the councillors that I work with represent all of 20 West, but there is value in the councillors that are in a specific ward because they get to know their neighborhood, they get to represent their ward. When there's a localized issue that I might not understand. Thank you.
directed it at Jim Harrison County Sheriff, and it's one of the, top issues for especially our younger voters. What are your plans to lessen the environmental impact of the city of Quincy West? So yeah, so what are your plans, starting with Karen, what are your plans around sustainability and to lower the environmental impact from the operations of the city of Quincy West?
This was one of the priorities that came out of the strategic plan. And the individuals in our community were concerned about that. And we need to, one of the things I'd like to see us move forward on is really put more focus when we build a park or we do a development or we build a road, that we consider the environment. I know that we do at some level, but we need to develop clear policies to help us with the sustainability going forward. The other thing is, we have tried, we've seen what happened with the sponging moth and the ashboard trees, and all of the destruction. So we really need to work more on the tree canopies and the landscaping going forward. We need to monitor our local impacts when we do have a development, and I think we have good policies there, whether they're traffic studies and so forth. We have started working with the electronic cars and having all of those charging stations, but that's just the start. So we need to work further on that and include, and one of the things too, many communities have a climate change and environmental committee, where we could have our young representatives with their ideas, because I'm finding youth are very invested in climate change and they have a lot more knowledge than I certainly do. So those are just a few of the things that I would like to see happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a great question. I just to expand on that, we built a new operations center and opened in 2017. That was a $23 million project that brought all our public works hubs under one roof. So yes, that's a big, from my point of view as mayor, a big improvement in terms of climate and looking after and reducing the exhaust and fumes from our vehicles, and also making sure that our vehicles are properly safe before they go out to work. Last year, in our winter maintenance, we never had one heavy tow. That means that we didn't have any breakdowns. That also saves us in the neighborhood of $3 to $5 grand. Plus, we get the work done quicker, and we don't have environmental impacts. Yes. So our operations center has been a big part. Our new fire department, our new firehouse, Station 1, again, all equipped to handle the emergencies that they respond to. And they respond on a regular basis to me. Most of, and I would say the largest number are medical calls. Yes, medical calls. But that building is also equipped with exhaust systems and so on, so that when they need the truck, it's ready to go. People are not having to wear the masks in that building, and they're all safe and reducing the impact on our environment. Same with our police station, same thing here. We've got officers who respond on a regular basis, but we also, I can tell you, over the last 2.5 years, we have only had one situation where we didn't have enough officers to come in and to work on the shift. That's fantastic. I sit on the state committees, Ontario Association of Police Service, where I meet with people from Cornwall and Thunder Bay, and I'm really proud of that. Thank you.
Jim Harrison, how important is the resumption of Bear Rail train 651 to Quincy West?
Thank you very much. That's a great question. Last 2 weeks ago, Saturday, I attended a rally in Copeland with respect to train 651. Here again, as a municipality, we are trying to connect our transit system with Belleville and other areas so that you can get to your appointments, to get to where you need to be and make connections to get home. Again, in Copeland, train 651, which picks up from East Kingston, taking you to Toronto, and bring you back, or takes you there early in the morning, comes back in the afternoon. That train has been canceled by VIA. And it hasn't been reinstated. It was canceled because of ridership. But right now, we've had over 3,000 people respond, saying that if that train is reinstated, they would make an effort to use it. So that's just how important it is, 6:51. And I need your help. I've talked to Ryan Williams, David Bassini was at the meeting, Ryan's a federal train. I've talked to Glenn Ringberg, who sits on the VIA board of directors, to get help to reinstate 6:51. Such an important asset to all of us, for all of us, to get to Toronto and get back on what I call a daily basis. Thank you.
Sticking with the transportation theme, this next question is directed to all three candidates. It's around speeding and the various speeding issues throughout the city. What would you like to see to help control the speeding in the city and the speed limits? And I'll start with Cameron.
Thank you, Suzanne. We members of council, we often, not often, but there are regular requests about addressing speed limits and particular areas. Certainly in the city ward, there's a lot of roads there, and speeding on particular areas does come up. Now, one of the things that we find in speeding is that a particular area may say, well, I don't want the speeding, but people that are going through, they do want to make sure a particular speed limit is retained. So what we've done, we have a policy that addresses speeding and requests to have speed limits reduced. And this way we can go out to the public, it's in writing, it goes forward. So we have a safety and risk committee, representative of public works members of the center staff, and the police. And they look at that, see if there were any accidents. They can go out and do the testing. You know, you'll see those rubber pads across, and they'll count and see the speeding of that particular area. Then it comes through to public works often with a recommendation in a public venue. There's also time for individuals, because it's posted and communicated, to comment on that speed limit or reduction request. So that is how they're addressed, and then will be in a public forum. Now, there are often, we have safety school areas where we can put up the, or we have, we've done a few of these, the flashing, you'll see, hey, you're going 60, you're going 60, slow down. They're very valuable, and they're generally in our park or community safety zones. And they do help reduce the speed limits, but we don't usually put them everywhere. So that is something that we look at as a council through public works and our safety committee. Other ways we do communication pieces, but certainly speeding, it does come forward. We do have a process, and we will consider those issues, but we look at everyone in the community. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Just to follow up with you a little bit on that. So are you saying then that you would continue what is, like, you sound like you're very familiar with the process right now. Are you looking at continuing that, expanding it? You didn't really say like what you would do.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So I would just add that I think it's a good process. We didn't have one for many years. It's a relatively new process. I think over the term of this council, or 4 years ago, 4 years ago. And it came as a result of decisions that we would make with speeding, and then change our mind a little, because then we would hear from the rest of the other members of the public say, why did you do that? We said, oh, we didn't think about that. And so this process helps the individuals know the process, communicates it, we collect data, and then we make recommendations for the betterment of the entire city. And I like this. Okay, thank you.
Jim, your thoughts on
You have a process. But let me tell you, when do we get complaints about speeding? We don't get them in the wintertime. We get complaints about speeding in the summertime, because that's when you're outside. We don't get them in the wintertime. But that doesn't mean people are speeding. Everybody's in a hurry. Drive that 401, drive that 100, see how many go by you. Tell me what happens. Yes.
anyways, speeding is an issue and it's something we address on a regular basis. We put up the signs and we try to put them up in different areas because they do help to reduce speed. They do. Yes, they do. The other thing, of course, is the officer giving the ticket.
Yes.
So I can say we have a process. Do we have speeding? Yes, we do. And you and I are responsible drivers. Yes, we are. And I have somebody with me usually that watches how fast I'm going. I'm not really here that has that same different radar control in that vehicle. So take care, drive safely, and yeah, stay healthy. That's what I asked you to do. Can we control all speeding? No, we can't. We do our best. Police officers are out there, but you got to remember, right now, what's the top of the list? Addiction and mental health. That's the top of the list when it comes to what officers are dealing with. And they need to be trained, and they also need another organization to support them and help them get through situations. So speeding is, yes, it's an issue, but when you rank it according to all the other, occurrences that people have to do, that's the issue. Thank you.
That's a very good question. I live on the Dublin and go Dublin and Dundas. It's speedy road, and it's always tee off. Horrible accident. Our council, they have to decide always three things to look into as a question. The first question is safety, durable energy, and the cost. Now, we can say problem, but I like to see the word solution. Put an end to it. If we take it to buy the corner house and we build a roundabout, what it does is slows down the traffic. Of course, if you're drunk, you go straight in it. And it allows us to make a nice walleye, but you don't have any more tee off. And you see, that's the solution. Speeding, there's a way to go about it. You can talk, express verbal barrier, but the reality is that we have to build a roundabout at that section, and whatever it is dangerous, public safety, durable energy, you don't need lights, you don't need nothing, which is just drive around. And then also when the truck goes around, it's especially made for that. But as long as we're gonna put our head in the sand and say, oh, we'll just put a timer and we say, well, now the two red lights will be on before the green light go on. I felt hit there too. There's my case.
But I would really like to try and get to these sorts of questions from the audience. So I would ask our candidates if they could limit their to 1 minute so that we can get through these next couple of questions. The first one, and we'll start with Jim. This is around vulnerable sectors in our community. What are your plans to address homelessness in the city as well as increase drug development?
Thank you very much. Homelessness is definitely an issue, and as I stated earlier, we as a city and as a council, we've got to look at how we can help provide housing for people who the vulnerable sector who are homeless, and it's definitely there. So what happens? Yes, we have some here. We have them living under the bridge that goes over the river. We welded the boards up. And I understand somebody just told me one of the boards is 500. So yes, there are homeless people here, but council's got to look at it and come up with a solution. And what is the solution? You'll likely have to build something. The second part is where do you want it? That's the part. Nobody wants his or her back here. So homelessness, that's what we're going to have to do. And also help people encourage them, if they are homeless, to get someplace to get help, because there's something causing. Thank you.
Claude, over to you. Do you want to answer that question?
That's okay. I mean, what drug problem? You got 7 stores, you can get it anywhere. There's no drug problem over here. Okay? It's everywhere. Okay? Now, the way to go about that, for that case, okay, is of course we have to monitor and how people deal with the issue. But then we have the homeless. The homeless people that we have are, they're shipped from other towns, they give them money and they move and come over here. Okay, now, but that's not, to me, if we have council that will look at the issue, maybe what I would think would be good is that the homeless people, they need a place, they need a room, they need their spot. It was a short spot.
Karen? Thank you. We do have a homeless problem, and there is no easy answer. We do have a committee with many local agencies working to help and support homeless individuals. This group is represented in Hastings County, and they have a lot of good resources there that help us. We have mental health and addiction groups working with us. And there's programs we could access better that have, through transportation and communication. This group is working very hard. There are vulnerable persons that don't have food. We have groups like Crossroads, Community Partners for Success, our local churches. We need to all get together, address the issue. It's not an easy answer, and we need to help our residents that are on the streets. Thank you.
There's another question, it's more about around planning, but it's talking about, the next term of council, if you're mayor, sometimes councilors always listen to the expert advice coming from staff recommendations and listen to builders and other people that have got vested interest. What would you do to make sure that expert advice is listened to and considered by the council? I'll start with you, Paul. 1 minute.
Sorry, my God. Okay, as we said, we have council, they're elected, and we have to listen to the majority. As I said, as mayor, I don't make a decision. I'm not going to put a vote, but I will listen. Okay, and should there be a doubt about an item, then I can say, well, we get the signature next month. Right, it's the power that I have. If I see there's a doubt. Expert, they talk, but the problem that we have really is that our council are only there for 4 years, and we're talking about long-term projects. So we have to listen to you.
Karen, you're next.
Suzanne, can you please repeat the question? Thank you.
Yeah, so look at it again. To ensure that all experts and advice is listened to and considered, what would you do as mayor to ensure that council considers all the expert advice quite often coming in staff recommendations?
Well, we certainly rely on staff, and we do need expert advice, particularly if we're doing something complex. I think what we need to ensure is that if we have a presentation, that particular expert is there at the particular meeting. We also need to get additional information. I think it's very important to have experts. If we have particular groups, just for an example, the housing that we're dealing with, to have experts at the table that have the knowledge to help guide us. So, there's many experts in particular portfolios. So I think it's really important to have the information and to make sure that council has it in advance and is prepared, and that we're all working together. Experts are needed, and stakeholder committees with experts are required. And I would certainly welcome them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I cannot recall where our expert advice was not considered. And what we have staff who prepare reports, and it's easy to ask them who they spoke to and how they gather the information
to put the report together. And if there is expert advice, that's what we should be using and looking at and considering. Doesn't necessarily influence the decision, but sure helps you to make the right decision. Yes, and it's like training or anything else. You can't have too much, but you've got to make sure that you, as an individual council from here, you look at all the data and evaluate it and decide how it fits into what you're trying to accomplish. That's what the process should be. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of our candidates for being in the hot seat. Some of the questions from the chamber we did send in advance, so they were able to prepare for those, but the ones coming from the audience were from you. So thank you for submitting. Thank you for answering the questions. And I would like to thank everybody for being so respectful, being a great audience. I'm going to now ask the mayoral candidates to do a 2-minute closing, and then candidates will go back to the tables and you can ask any questions you have of them one-on-one at that point. So starting with Karen Stuttle.
Thank you, Suzanne. I would like to thank the chamber for hosting this meeting tonight and thank everyone for attending, including those who are joining us via Facebook Live. Serving this community over the past 8 years has been my distinct honor. To my fellow colleagues, city staff, and first responders, thank you for your dedication and service to Quinte West. To all citizens of Quinte West, I respectfully ask for your vote to be our next mayor, so that I may continue to serve the community and lead with council for the next 4 years. I will be a leader who will foster open dialogue from councilors and staff at the council table. I will encourage consultation and discussion to bring out the diverse perspective of our entire city. I will be strong but not overbearing. I am fair but will be firm when needed and respectful to everyone. I will invite and listen to new innovative ideas as we address the challenges ahead together. Having worked on over 14 committees, I appreciate and respect the knowledge that individuals contribute. Community inclusion is important, and I value your input. Your mayor and council will be required to make many decisions. We will be fiscally responsible to you, the taxpayers. Decisions will be based upon fact and current relevant information. Make no mistake, decisions will be made in the best overall interest of the entire city. I am well prepared to be your mayor. I have the experience, education, and ability to lead this great city forward. I know people fear change, but we all know past practice isn't always the best practice. Progress includes you. Change would be good. Vote Karen Sharp. Thank you very much.
Okay, first of all, let me tell you that over the last 8 years, Quinte West reserves have gone from 23 million to $66 million. That's where we're at, 66 million in reserves. And thank you very much for supporting us and helping us because you're paying the taxes. But we're very fiscally responsible. We've made sure that what we do is done properly, effectively, and efficiently. And thanks to all the council members and all city staff for working with us to make sure that we do the right thing and that we move in the right direction. Over the last 8 years, we built a new operations center, got all our equipment together on the one facility, and that has saved us thousands of dollars, thousands. Plus, our equipment is worth more when it's up for sale. Second part, we built a new fire hall. We needed it. We needed the facility, we needed the people there and the equipment. And we've got 7 fire halls in Quinte West, all well equipped. We also have a training center built by Chuck Nathan and Robert Rudd. And unfortunately, Chuck isn't with us, but a great guy and raised the money to build that facility. The province shut down the fire training center in Bainhurst, and we're now ready to take hold. We built a new hospice clinic and stand as a care center. We were a big part of that. We moved that forward. That's a great facility. And I'm not one that wants to use it, but if I have to, that's great. And then, of course, we've got a new police detachment, and that need is selfless. We have officers who come here to work because they want to work. And they are young officers work at 401. And I'll tell you, I can't believe, and I really admire them for taking that on. That is one difficult, from my perspective, place to work. So yes, we made a lot of progress, and I'm willing as leader, I think we can keep going forward with a number of other, particularly with our infrastructure. There's no end to what we need to do. So I respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you for the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for all the new candidates. I'm looking forward, if possible, to work with you. All through this process, I will keep this on one focus, is your representation. Not what we did in the past, but what we're doing for the future. And the future is important as we elect a new council. I'd like to see new faces. It's not that I don't have respect for the people that have worked, Sharon, Karen, or Jim that have been there since 1991. But it's time for a change, and we can only change when we change. And it's you. When you take the ballot, you make that change. Again, it's my 6th time that I run, but I kept the same line. Okay, and our system that we have now only offer you the same incest system that you cannot vote anybody new. So now it's time to make a change. It's up to you. I will respect your vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you to all of our candidates. I'd like to thank the chamber staff and the volunteers from our board of directors. Our president, Rick Davies, is there in the back. He's been keeping an eye on me, making sure we stay on track and on time. Our government affairs committee. It was really our pleasure to host this evening for you. And please enjoy the next half an hour or so visiting with the candidates.